All right, welcome everyone to this match of the Super Metroid Randomizer Accessible Tournament. We have Prankard versus Glaucio Souza. This should be a really exciting matchup. Both of these players play just a whole bunch of randomizer, and I think we're looking for a good match here. We should be underway shortly. Now, the Super Metroid Randomizer Accessible Tournament is a randomizer tournament, as the name might imply, that is designed to be accessible to people of nearly every skill level. If you can beat Super Metroid and you can wall jump, shine spark, and infinite bomb jump, odds are pretty high that you can get to the point where you can complete a Super Metroid randomizer seed. So we want to have this tournament available for as many people as possible to be able to join. However, we want the logic is also deep enough that we can see both players optimize it as much as they can and sequence break wherever possible. And I think right now we are just waiting. Looks like Glaucio has some SD card problems, unfortunately. So we'll just have to wait on him a bit for that one. All right, looks like we should be ready in just a moment now. Looks like Glaucia's stream is all right, and we should be ready to get this race underway. This should be a really exciting one to see play out, and this is one of the last races that will be broadcast for week 1 of SMRAT. But don't worry, we still have 6 more weeks of Swiss to go, followed by a single elimination bracket. 2 brackets in total. The top half of all players roughly going into the rat bracket and the bottom half going into the mouse bracket. So we'll have 2 single elimination brackets running concurrently, and that will give players a chance to be matched up with someone a bit closer to their skill level. All right, and Glacio has readied up. So this race is about to begin. All right, and we have both runners underway now, preparing to make those first few checks in the game. Now, within the SMRAT logic, we will only ever see Morph at its vanilla location. However, every item in the game is subject to what is known as a full randomizer, which means that all of the locations can be shuffled with every other location so long as it's in logic. And so what that means is our runners will want to check as many item locations as they feel they can, um, such that they don't skip anything important. However, as you get into the higher skill levels, and especially if you feel your opponent is better than you may want to skip some of those longer checks in hopes of gaining an advantage over your opponent. However, these first few checks um, are really going to decide how we route the seed. So that power bomb is pretty interesting. It will open up both of our runners to check Billy Mays and the item below Old Mother Brain, should they so desire. And that speed boosters, or excuse me, space jump is really interesting. Yeah, another option available to both players is what is known as meme route, which involves entering Brinstar through the door behind Morph. That can be a more difficult route because it requires you to defeat some large side hoppers. However, some players do prefer it. I haven't seen as many prefer it in a full randomizer like SMRAT. I think within SMRAT specifically, the first couple of checks are really good. And gravity suit of Billy Mays! Good lord. This seed is already really interesting. Unfortunately, Glaucio falling a bit behind, having a lot of trouble with this deboost. If you're not used to it, and even sometimes if you just can't find your groove, this deboost can be extremely difficult. Meanwhile, Prankard will be checking the item behind Morph. With that power bomb count, almost certainly won't be taking the meme route. You really want full power bombs going into this section if you want meme route. Does find a super missile though. Now we know that we won't be ammo locked behind anything. Although with only 5 power bombs and no bombs, you can still run into some difficulties with your management, so you have to be really careful about that. Glaucio finally getting his damage boost. Thankfully, will be going up and checking Billy Mays, receiving that gravity suit. Now, because Prankard has opted to do all of the powerbomb gated checks within Retro Brinstar, he will have to spend some time refilling its ship. He's unlikely to do a full gauntlet clear, only having that one powerbomb pack. However, it is possible he could use a powerbomb to check the 2 items in back of gauntlet on the way. And I think that's a pretty nice route to take. Doing a sort of modified wall jump and platform jump climb there. A really interesting strategy. I am curious to see if once he refills its ship, he will in fact go back and check 230 missiles. That's another location that can be a pretty slow one. It takes 2 door transitions plus the time to get through those rooms, but it can hold some good stuff. Sees the missile pack, decides that 15 missiles are enough, and I agree with that. If it's good enough for any percent, it's good enough for randomizer. Meanwhile, Glausio, so far making all of the same checks as Prankard, just a little bit behind because of those initial troubles with the deboost. And Prankard, already being at the ship, decides to take the save. Never a bad idea, in my opinion. Losing a game by 4 seconds or whatever it takes to save there is pretty unlikely. Okay, and because he has space jump and power bombs, he will be checking the criteria power bomb check. That's an interesting play that you won't be able to see too often at this stage in the game. I really like this. Only finds a reserve tank though, an item that some people have perhaps too much affection for. Others calling it a garbage tank. Prankard, okay, good. Prankard taking the refill again here. I was hoping he'd notice he has 3 energy. I'm curious to see if Glausio will also go and check criteria power bombs. If you're not thinking about it, it would be a hard check to even remember to take. And we see Prankard does go down and check that 230 missiles. Gets an E-tank. With how low its health just got, I'm sure that can be pretty nice. Now at effectively 2 tanks. Oh no, and Glausio takes an unfortunate death there. Certainly won't help the situation, but thankfully he did just save, so he won't be losing too much progress. Yeah, honestly, having seen that reserve tank, I think Glausio... I'm not sure if he saved time there by dying, but it's not that far off either. Alright, Prankard finds, what is that? That's either vanilla or French vanilla back of Gauntlet. Interestingly, only picked up one of the 2 powerbomb drops. I'm not really sure about that play. You want to have a lot of power bombs going into Brinstar. Oh, right, yeah, gauntlets normally just missiles. So we'll have to see. Yeah, so this does mean that Prankard will be killing all of the frogs in the first room of Edicoons. Refilling all of his power bombs there. Yeah, and that is a really important part, especially in the early game of SMRAT, and clearly something that Prankard understands better than I do, understanding just where you're going to be getting more power bombs. We have seen some really low power bomb seeds this race. I believe my own race that I was in had 4 power bomb packs in total. So two separate trash cans this early on, that's really unfortunate, although I think with Space Jump and Gravity you really can't complain. Now I am curious to see where we're going to get some route deviation. Thus far Glacio... Ooh, high jump boots. Thus far Glacio has been making all of the same checks, just a little bit behind Prankard. The first real major point of deviation we will see is once we get to the red tower. I believe with those... Yeah, I believe with both of the reserve tanks and the E-tank being in logic along the way, we now have wrecked ship in logic, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and Prankard making a good call there, refilling his power bombs. Pink Brinstar, if I'm not mistaken, you want 4 power bombs going in. Oh, very nice. Finding another E-tank. With 2 tanks plus a reserve and gravity, Fantoon should be pretty easy to take down, hopefully. Also makes these side hopper rooms significantly more comfortable. So we see our runners currently with 25 and 30 super missile counts. One of the unique quirks about SMRAT is its drops or its packs are biased very heavily towards supers. So we can frequently see runners opt to skip charge entirely, just having enough missiles and supers to beat the game. And so that can be nice as just one more item that you don't necessarily need to complete the game. However, I'm sure both of our runners would love charge. And we see a trick there known as reverse green gate glitch. And the way that one works is if you fire a super at the correct placement, then with its acceleration, it will be on one side of that gate on one frame and on the other side the next. And so it is, if I am not mistaken, the only gate in the game that you are able to open from the left side like that. It is also a sequence break within the SMRAT logic. So that can often mean it doesn't have something. Obviously, it's a very nice check to do while you're here. It can just be important in SMRAT sometimes to try and remember which items you have sequence broken and what is actually in logic, so you know what items you can find at what locations. Yeah, and we do see Prankard going up Red Tower here. So it looks like he really likes Wrecked Ship. Wrecked Ship is a bit of a controversial play, early Wrecked Ship. And having some trouble with the hero shot, decides to just go down. And make an X-ray check, interesting. X-ray being one of the longer checks in the game, especially if you don't have anything to make it faster. Thankfully, Space Jump makes it decently fast. Still takes it. Get those bombs. Thank you, Prankard. Although I'm honestly not really sure what Prankard's plan was there, if he didn't find bombs or power bombs. But he did find something he wanted. But yeah, so X-ray paying off, just perhaps not in the way Prankard may have liked. At the very least, it'll make for a comfy lower North fare with regards to powerbomb management. Yeah, and it looks like he will be going towards Kraid, has just decided that that trying to go up Red Tower with this loadout is not worth it. Now, Wrecked Ship can be a bit of a frustrating play no matter what. I know many runners have expressed the sentiment that Wrecked Ship either has nothing or has absolutely necessary progression. It's very in vogue, very popular to skip top of Wrecked Ship right now. And that is a play that can put you really far ahead or super far behind. Looks like Glacio is also going down red tower. Let's see, and we'll be making the X-ray check as well. Gonna be rewarded with those bombs. Prankard does not want the X-ray. X-ray being a fringe case item, except in the case where you have plasma and charge, at which point you can microwave certain enemies, namely Botswoon, Phantoon, and Dragon. So that can significantly speed those fights up. However, Prankard, having neither charge nor plasma yet, probably isn't super interested in that. And he will now be attempting the Kraid quick kill. Hopefully he's used to the timing. It is a bit different having those high jump boots. Ooh, jumps up and fires just a little bit too early. So we will be seeing at least one Kraid stand-up glitch today. Alright, takes Kraid down after just a little bit of trouble. And for his efforts, he is rewarded with a super pack. I would be expecting both of our runners to be picking up supers up until the point where they either have charge and a nice beam combo, or a pretty high amount of supers to the point where they could beat the game. It's generally not a good idea in a SMRAT race to bet on receiving charge at some point. Now over on Glaustio's screen, we'll be able to see what the various checks on the way to wrecked ship are. Alpha power bombs and the missile behind are both just missiles. Alright, and now we see Prankard going down to Norfair. Likely just a quick dip, unless he finds Varia in one of the high jump locations. Speed can also put Bubble Norfair missiles in logic, although even if you have speed, that's a really ugly check to make. Oh, and Glacio finding Spring Ball. A lovely item for movement. Also will help alleviate those power bomb concerns even more, although already having bombs, that's not as big of a deal. Although I do tend to think that anytime you see Spring Ball, if you are literally right in front of it, it's almost always going to be worth it to get. Okay, and Glacio is going to need to take a ship refill here. Doesn't have the requisite power bombs to actually enter Phantoon. He may also, or he's already checked criteria power bombs. He could check front of Gauntlet, although I don't think that's a very appealing play. Alright, takes the save. We love to see our runners taking as many saves as they feel they can take while still having a chance at winning the game. Oh, and he is going for Gauntlet. Meanwhile, Prankard entering Meridia finds Grapple and supers there. So chat asking why only front of Gauntlet. If I'm not mistaken, Glacio did check back of Gauntlet earlier using a power bomb pack, and it only has a super and a missile. Meanwhile, Prankard is just in Meridia looking for any sort of progression item. He doesn't even have the requisite number of power bombs to perform Crystal Flash Clip. So he's going to need to find something speed or ice for progression into more Meridia. Or Varia obviously will give him access to Lower Norfair. Yep, and Glacio not interested in taking that E-Tank all the way back. I think that's a pretty good play. Once you're at 3 E-Tanks, every E-Tank gets significantly less appealing. At that point, it's just about giving yourself more of a safety net. Ooh, and we will be seeing Wave Beam later on in Rex Ship. Wave Beam can put things into SMRAT logic. However, for runners of this caliber, it's mostly just a nice item to have. Alright, Prankard not finding anything so far in Sand Pits. I'm not sure if Prankard is capable of doing Snail Clip, but we could see that from him as well. Alright, and Glacio about to enter his Fantoon fight. Let's pray for a good pattern here. Yeah, Prankard not finding anything in those sand pits, unfortunately. It can be a worthwhile check to make just because you can sometimes find progression for Meridia right within Meridia, right before you need it. Alright, and Prankard going to visit the various watering hole checks now. I'm not sure why he didn't do those on the way in, but hopefully we can find something here for him. But if he doesn't find anything here, he's just going to have to go up to Rex Ship, and that'll put him a fair bit behind Glacio at this point. Oh! Charge Spacer is an interesting watering hole. Not what Prankard wants. No, maybe what Prankard wants, but certainly not what he needs here. Now, it's possible at this point we'll see Prankard be a little bit more reticent to pick up additional ammo. Every super pack you pick up will save time up to a certain point, even with this beam. Although Prankard's getting decently close to being able to beat the game with just his current missiles and supers. Meanwhile, Fantoon going very nicely for Glacio, beginning to make his wrecked ship checks now. I think at this point, if we see Varia from him, he's just gonna bail. I don't think that wave beam that he knows about is enticing enough by itself. Taking a little bit to deliberate on whether he wants the 5th E-Tank. I think it's nice to have for safety. Especially as, without having ice or speed currently, we don't know if we're going to be able to do Zeb Skip. Yep, and Glacio just saving before doing wrecked ship E-Tank. The save is nice. It both acts as a nice buffer for one of the more dangerous checks to make, and also allows you to reset if it's nothing, which it always is unless you don't check it. Prankard finding his own spring ball now. Okay, yeah, Glacia wants that ice beam. So, Ice Beam will, at the very least, allow Glacio to do Zeb Skip, and gives him a way to enter Bot's Wound. Ice Beam is technically not logical progression for Meridia, although many of our runners in this race know Mach Droid Clip, and I would be surprised if Glacio does not. Yeah, progression either has to be in the top of wrecked ship or some weird out of the way location I can't think of. Alright. Ooh, Speed Booster and Ice are both within wrecked ship. So unless a runner were to find 2 extra power bomb packs and be able to perform CF Clip, they would have to do wrecked ship before Meridia. At this point, both of our runners coming out of wrecked ship will have movement that is roughly as cozy as you can get. Now, it's interesting that Glacio will be checking the wrecked ship reserve here. I know a lot of runners, if they have Speed Booster, would just like to go and check it and assume it's something good, which doesn't waste that much additional time. We do see that it's Screw Attack here. I think both of our runners have every single item in the game that isn't necessarily progression but would be nice to have outside of maybe some beams. Or just plasma beam, actually. Yeah, Screw is absolutely worth the grab for Lower North Fair. Yeah, speed, perhaps a bit of a frustrating pickup though, as it opens up a lot of oddball locations, such as climb supers and waterway. Neither of which you really want to see. It could also be Bubble Norfair Missile, which would be really interesting. So both of our runners sort of have their work cut out for them, trying to find Varia, unless it is at one of the last two wrecked ship locations we haven't yet seen. All right. Yes, chat asking if both runners checked Wavegate and Pink Brinstar. Yes, they both did. I believe it was just a missile or something. Oh, and thanks to GT Classic for the raid. Okay, so the hunt for Varia begins. Which location do you think Glausio will check first between Climb Super's Waterway and Bubble Norfair missiles? I'm predicting a route that starts with Climb Supers and then goes down into Brinstar before eventually heading into Norfair. Although Glausio hasn't checked Norfair whatsoever, so he could just be going down there. You know, for all Glausio knows, Varia's at Spazer or something. I don't believe Shack Tool is in logic without Grapple Beam, is it? Or, oh no, wait, we saw Grapple Beam somewhere. Was it in one of the sand pits? Yeah. Oh, it's at Main Street, right. Gated behind speed. So yes, we do have Shack Tool within logic as well. We could have Varia at Shack Tool. Yep, and it looks like Glausio is just beelining for Norfair. Based on the checks he's made so far, this is absolutely the correct choice. Unfortunately, it's somewhat unlikely for him to actually find Varia. The only place it could be would be Bubble Missiles. Yeah, Glausio also having all of the Meridia checks to make. So definitely either runner could take the lead here, purely depending on what checks they decide to make. However, with as many checks as Prankard has already made, I would say unless we see Varia at Bubble Norfair missiles, Prankard's in the lead right now. Yeah, and Prankard unfortunately not going to have that ice beam. That's going to hurt a lot once we get to Turian. Ooh, and a nice backup crate quick kill from Glacio. That was really cool to see. Yeah, so Prankard, unless he somehow went back and got ice, which I do not see happening, at some point he will have to find another power bomb pack. Yeah, so Prankard finished with his wrecked ship right now, and he knows that Varia has to be in one of a few oddball locations. That's right, almost skipping that power bomb pack. You need that to beat the game. Now this is interesting. Prankard going back to check wrecked ship E-Tank. I suppose the idea behind this is that wrecked ship E-Tank doesn't take that much additional time to check later on after you've finished wrecked ship, and you can skip it entirely if you find an item somewhere else. Definitely an interesting play. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Glacio did not check bubble missiles. I understand why. It's a pretty long check to make, and it's severely unlikely for Vari to be there. Unfortunately for him, we already know it can't be in Meridia. Yeah, and he wants that grapple beam. Just makes for a real cozy Dragon fight. A very nice Shine Spark up to it. That's right, yeah, now that speed is in logic, Glacio could find grapple, or excuse me, Varia at one of the checks past Batwoon, and Prankard has not made those yet. I mean, I think he's definitely going to defeat Dragon while he's here, especially with that grapple. There's absolutely no reason not to. Yeah, and Prankard Shine Sparking through Gauntlet, always really cool to see. Doesn't even want that E-Tank for a free health refill. Yes. Ooh. Gets grabbed for just a second. Space Jump Screw Attack Gauntlet is super cozy though. Now I'm curious to see what order Glacio will opt to make the Meridia checks. If we'll see, for example, like one sand pit, then Botswana and Dragon, then check the other sand pit or something like that. Alright, well, it's time to see if Varia is at Climb Supers. Prankard having a bit of trouble. This room can be really annoying. Ooh, yeah, especially if you clip through the frozen, I forget what those guys are called. He should have enough health to be fine. Yeah. How much is in his reserves? Okay, he can do the spark. Now he's just gonna go check it. And all that frustration for a missile pack. Yeah, Boyons, that's what they're called. Puyos are a different enemy elsewhere. So Prankard just goes for the reset. I suspect now we'll see him go through Brinstar the normal way, or... No, okay. Late game meme route, I guess? I guess he just did the reset to get his health back. That's interesting. Yeah, Prankard already checked old Mother Brain earlier. Glacio going through his sandpit checks right now, not going to find what he needs, unfortunately. Oh, I think we're seeing Shaq Tool. Yeah, so Prankard is going to check waterway right now. I mean, if Glacio finds Varia here, this is going to be huge. It's likely a very long time before Prankard even wants to think about checking Shaq Tool. Oh, nothing at Waterway. We are very quickly running out of locations for Varia. And Glacio, having a little bit of fun in Shaq Tool's room, has to be cognizant of his health though. Only 172 energy, that's not a lot. No one has checked bubble missiles yet, correct? Never bet Shaq. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we either have Bubble Norfair missiles or the rest of Meridia. Now, with 51 supers, Botswoon should not be a challenge at all. Although Botswoon can be kind of a big meanie, so 287 health can disappear very quickly. Glacio being careful though, takes down Botswoon no sweat. No, I don't believe Croc's been checked, although Varia can't be a Croc. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, as soon as either one of our runners gets Varia, they're in pure go mode. And there it is. And Prankard is going to find it soon enough. So both of our runners, after all of that and after all of those route deviations, both of our runners decently close. Glacio killed Dracon. The Dragon skip is an advanced trick that should only be left to the highest level players. Alright, let's see if we can get a quick grapple here. The setup, there we go, very nice from Glacio. And Prankard about to find his Varia suit. Yeah, so at this point, Prankard is only a Dragon behind. Yeah, absolutely. Both of our runners having very similar loadouts. Prankard will have to take a different strategy for Dragon. He doesn't have grapple. However, he does have speed, full beam, and quite a few supers, so hopefully it won't take that long. So I think at this point, barring absolute disaster, we will at least see both runners in Turian at the same time, possibly both on Mother Brain at the same time. Yeah, no, I don't expect either runner to really make any other item checks. I don't think there's even anything they can get that would make the game faster at this point. Like, they have enough supers, so Plasma wouldn't even really help. Oh, and that was it. That was a cute little moonfall from Glacio there. I really liked that. Yep, and a very easy lava dive room here just has a space jump. Vanilla intended strats. So at this point, with both of our runners in go mode, I think it's safe to say Glacio has a definite lead here. Although it is possible it's really all down to Prankard's execution here. Both of our runners are just trying to get through each room as quickly as possible and execute to the best of their ability. Prankard doing a little bit of farming here. Maybe just wants to make sure he has enough missiles or enough supers for Lower Norfair to never have to farm anything. Notably, he does not have grapple, so farming right before Ridley would be slightly more annoying. Oh, and there's Plasma. Very smart power bombs of shame check from Glacio, I suppose, paying off by getting really the only item in the game that could possibly help out. Tries to get the Kago. That Kago can be annoying to get sometimes. But that does mean that Glacio will be finishing the game with a completely full tracker. Speaking of which, shoutouts to our tracker, Music75, for going through and tracking all of these items throughout. Go follow him, and go follow both of our runners, Prankard and Glacio Souza. Both incredible runners who have put on a great race for us. And I am Glove. I am both the restreamer and commentator for this race. Yep, and we have a few more races on the docket for everyone come tonight. We have Lady Smell and Hacksaw at 7, Zero versus Nevdi at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss that one. And Desmus versus Hero 82. I know there was some talk about that one being asynchronous, so I'm not completely sure how that one's going to work. Oh, and a very nice Ridley fight from Glacio. making quick work of it. Now, all he has to do is make it to Turian. Almost certainly going to take a ship refill along the way. I would be aghast if he did not with those 2 supers. Meanwhile, Prankard about to enter his Ridley fight. Taking down the Metal Pirates very quickly. And Prankard not picking up Plasma. Honestly, I think it's probably just a time loss to pick up Plasma, but it is very funny, and I like that beam a lot. Chad asking if Mother Brain is faster with super missiles. I believe optimally, but very few people can optimally. Okay, theoretically equal, assuming perfect shot timing on both. Yep. And Prankard doing his lower Norfair exit right now after a very nice Ridley fight. Prankard certainly not having that plasma beam will certainly want to take a ship refill. Yep. And this has been a really interesting race to watch as we sort of wind down here. I think this race really all came down to who made what checks in what order. The fact that Prankard made certain checks. Going to Meridia before wrecked ship was a good idea, but it meant that later on he didn't want to go to Meridia as early on, so. Yeah, neither of our runners is going to do stand-up. I believe stand-up is possible using reserves, but it's just slower because you have to go into the pause menu. Alright, and Glacio taking that ship refill. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, stand up with reserves just isn't possible. Um, Either way, both of our runners are going to just sit around and get real cozy during that Mother Brain cutscene. You know, make sure they've got their dot done all pre-typed in IRC. Alright, and that is now the first 2 Metroid rooms down for Glacio. With this super count, doesn't have to worry about drops whatsoever. Meanwhile, Prankard just about to reach his ship. At this point, it would basically require catastrophe on Glaucio's side for Prankard to be able to pull back into this. Still a very impressive showing from him, though. I don't disagree with the way that he routed this logic at all. I think this time it just didn't happen to work out for him. Alright, and it looks like we're gonna see an attempt at baby skip from Glaucio here. The screw attack would make baby skip really easy to do. Obviously baby skip saving more time. Almost. Ooh, having to do a few extra rope-a-dopes. But he makes it very nice. And now Prankard is entering Turian. So being able to see both of our runners in Turian at the same time is very nice. Interesting, is Glaucio going for Spring Ball, it looks like? Having a bit of trouble, but gets it. And now he just has to execute on Mother Brain 2. Meanwhile, Prankard almost finished with his Metroid rooms. Prankard is going to have a slightly slower fight, as he does not have that plasma, and he won't quite have enough supers to finish Mother Brain using only supers. At this point in the race, though, that's certainly not the difference maker. And Glaucio actually kinda low on health here. Okay, he makes it. Yeah, and Prankard going for my favorite trick, baby skip. It's pretty easy to do when you have screw attack, because screw attack removes all of your iframes. So if you just hold angle in a direction and jump into that enemy over and over again, you can damage yourself down really quickly. He does make sure to face right, gotta save those 35 frames. Alright, and Glaucio in cutscene about to enter into his Mother Brain 3. Yep, just standing in the corner and firing angle-up shots at Mother Brain. This is a bit slower than some other strategies, because there's the lag of the hyper beam shot traveling across the screen. But if you can't actually consistently hit your shots being right up in Mother Brain's face, it's not worth going for. Yep, and with all of the items that both of our runners have, we have a really cozy escape. Say goodbye to the last moonfall in the run. Yeah, a great chat. Both of our runners almost certainly thought they were behind through quite a lot of this race, just because of some interesting item placements. So Varia was at the missiles right before Dragon. Alright, and finishing up with an official SRL time of 1:11:11, Glaucio Souza, GG. So a pretty close race here with our first runner finishing while our second place runner is at Mother Brain. Alright, and Mother Brain goes down. Prankard is about to begin his escape. Alright, and as Prankard finishes up his escape, this is a reminder to follow both of our runners, Prankard and Glaucio Souza, as well as be sure to follow our tracker, Music75. Alright, and Prankard will will be saving the animals today. And finishing up with an official SRL time of 1:15:12 is Prankard. GG's to Prankard. All right. Looks like we should be joined shortly by Prankard for an interview. All right, welcome, Prankard. GG's.
Thanks for the GGs. Hey.
So how are you feeling about that seed?
I was really excited at the first 5 minutes because I was finding gravity out of logic first. I was like, that's amazing. And I was like, oh, but it is only an up logic and they're kind of easy to find, but hopefully there might be a suit somewhere before that, and then we got a jet seed going, but that wasn't the case. How was it on the other end watching it?
It was really interesting to watch start to finish. I think this seed came down to who made checks in what order.
Yeah.
Glacio didn't check Meridia until after wrecked ship. He went up wrecked ship first.
As I was doing it, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. It's out of logic. I was like, but it could be there, and I like to gamble a little bit. But yeah, I did regret that as I was doing it. I found charge though, but I also picked up way too many supers, thinking that I wouldn't find charge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really crazy logic working it through, because obviously finding speed quite late in the game after full clearing Meridia and wreck ship and being like, okay, so it's either now in the rest of Meridia or all the speed lock locations, and thinking which do we do? Do we risk it and go for Meridia, or do we do the long checks? I went for the long checks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really interesting to see. So Glaucio picked up every major item in the game, and you picked up every major item besides plasma.
Okay, where was plasma?
PBs of shame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm just going. I can beat the game. It's fine. Oh man, that was it felt good though. Like it didn't feel too far off.
Mm-hmm. No, it was a really close race. I think at certain points, I believe you got your Varia suit pretty much as Glaucio was exiting Dragon. You just had a little bit of a longer Dragon fight because you hadn't grabbed grapple.
I know. I also regretted that too, because I peeked it and I knew it was there, and I kind of forgot. And I was like, oh no, that would have been much quicker to just quickly spark up, grab that, and then quick kill Dragon. That'd been much better. Yeah, that was a little bit of a slow fight, and a few silly spark up on the ceiling. But yeah. So yeah, it sounds quite close from that Dragon fight anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was good fun though, as always.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you feel personally about the SMRAT logic? Like, do you decide to tackle this differently than you might another randomizer preset?
I don't play many other rando presets. I don't really know the logic of the other rando presets.
Mm-hmm.
So I play my other rando presets like I play my SMRAT. Because
Okay.
so I know SMRAT logic more than I know other rando logic. So yeah. So I play all the seeds mostly the same. For me, I normally do my Bryn Star kind of very similar,
Mm-hmm.
and the first set of of checks. So the whole pink Bryn Star and blue Bryn Star is all the same. And then I never meme route pretty much because that never works out for me. So I always have that one. The only change I ever make is the choice of going up or down red tower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this year I wanted to go up, and I was thinking about going up and just doing a couple extra checks before going down, but I couldn't do the wall jumps up the red tower perfectly, and I was like, oh, that's just a sign I need to go down now.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down. But yeah, for me, all my logic is like pretty much the same up until the up or down, and then it kind of
Yeah.
changes.
Now, one of the choices that you made in routing this seed that I think was one of the more interesting ones that I haven't really seen. You went for wrecked ship E tank after full clearing wrecked ship.
Yeah, I did because I at that particular moment we'd full cleared everything, or
Mm-hmm.
as far as logic went, I was like, it has to be in wreck ship, because I didn't have speed at that point.
Right.
And I'd already full cleared Meridia, or the bit before Dragon before speed. So in my head, I was like, it has to be in wreck ship, and at that, I normally do check that one on the right first and then dip out. But in this particular case, I was like, okay, so there's only like what there's 5 locations up top, or maybe 6, and there's one to the
Mm-hmm.
right. So I was like, okay, I got more chance of going up and then grabbing it, hopefully finding Varia, and then just dipping out and then going. And then I don't have to do that long check on the right hand side. But unfortunately, I found speed, and then that just opened up more stuff. And then I had to go back and check that one check on the right too. So
Yeah.
it didn't work out as good as I'd hoped. But that was the reasoning behind it, from the 6 checks versus the one. And I was like, it's probably in there, and it wasn't quite
Yeah.
there.
It was just a little bit scary to watch you pass up that ice beam and be
Yeah,
like,
of
please go
course.
back.
Yeah, because I went back and I was like, oh, it's fine. I can just go and do that one check, and I'll probably reset. And won't have to go backwards. I was like, oh no, that's a
Mm-hmm.
really good item. I now need to go back and spend more time on this check. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, congrats on the race. It was really well run.
Thank you. Yeah, and congrats to Glaucio as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he did, yeah, must have done really well. Um, I think we were, yeah, when I was watching him run this and do any percent before, we were kind of similar times for any percent. So I thought it'd be a good race to see him watch. So yeah, I'm glad it was close.
Yeah. What is your any percent PB?
I think that my last one was like about 106, 108, around about there. And then he recently did a PB of about 108 as well. So I was like, okay, so we're pretty much similar, and it's going to be the choices we make more than the
Mm-hmm.
movement or a death that might make it.
Yeah, I think this race absolutely did come down to which choices both of the runners made. And I certainly can't fault either of you for the choices you made. I think it just didn't work out for you this time, unfortunately.
Well, that's fine. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. Uh, all right. Any final things that you'd like to say to the stream?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for doing comms, Glove. That's awesome. And
Absolutely.
thanks for, I don't know who's tracking this one, but thank you,
Music
Tracker.
75.
Thank you, Music. Cool. Yeah, that's all. And I guess I'll see you next stream.
Absolutely. Good luck on your remaining races.
Thank you.
And I would also like to shout out both of our excellent runners this stream, Prankard and Glacio Souza. I'd like to thank Music75 for doing tracking. I've been Glove on comms and restreaming, and we'll all see you next mission.